So in this video we're going to look at the first part of two more exponent laws, and let me give you a quick recap of the laws that we've covered thus far. So the first few laws, the first one is x to the power of m multiplied, I'm using the dot notation over here, multiplied by something like x to the power of n is equal to x to the power of m plus n. Okay, that's the first one. The second one was if we are dividing numbers or things that have the same base, what do we do with the exponents? Well, make that n, then this is going to be x to the power of m minus n. Okay, I'm going to call that the first law that we found here. That's going to be our second one. Now if we look at our third one, let's say it's going to be x to the power of 0, or anything to the power of 0, that is equal to 1. Okay, so there's 3. We've covered all 3 sufficiently. Right, so let us move on now. Now we're going to look at two more rules. The first, or the third law that I'm going to look at is, what if I take a fraction, something of the form a over b, right? And I'm assuming b does not equal to 0. That's the symbol for not equal to. And I'm also assuming that both a and b are greater than 0. So I'm going to say that the base over here is going to be positive. And a little bit later we'll see why I'm doing that. Okay, but for now let's just state the law as the following. A over b to the power of n is equal to a to the power of n over b to the power of n. Right, and that's something I hope you can also see as well when we have to do the reverse. If we are going from this to this, or if we're going from that to that. Okay, so let's look at a few examples. What if I have a fraction, for example, 1 over 2 to the power of 4? Well, that's just simply 1 to the power of 4 over 2 to the power of 4. And 1 to the power of 4 is 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, which is just 1. And this is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. For example, 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And then 8 times 2 over there is going to give me 16. So clearly you can see 2 to the power of 4 is 16. Okay, using the shortcut law again, it's going to say 1 over 2, which is a fraction, to the power of 4. Well, if it's a fraction raised to a power, all I do is I take the top, I raise it to that power, and I take the bottom of the fraction, which is called the denominator, and I also raise it to that power. Okay, so over there I've got 1 to the power of 4 over 2 to the power of 4 as well. Let's look at a few more examples. Right, what about 2 to the power 2 over 3 to the power of 3? Well, that is simply going to be 2 to the power of 3 over 3 to the power of 3. And as you know, 2 to the power of 3 is equal to 8. How did I get that? It's going to be 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2. And 3 to the power of 3 is going to be 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3. Okay, which is going to be 8 over 27. Let's look at a few examples involving variables. Well, okay, let's start here. What if I have x over y to the power of 4? Well, if you see it's a fraction, all you need to do, if it's raised to a power, raise the top and raise the bottom. So I'm going to have x to the power of 4 over y to the power of 4. If I were to look at the following, if I were to look at a more trickier example, for example, what about x to the power of 2 over y to the power, let's just make it y, and I'm going to raise that to a specific power. I'm going to raise that to 3. So let me say, I do exactly the same. I treat this entire thing as the base, right? So I take the top, which is x to the power of 2, and I'm going to raise that thing over there to the power of 3. And then I'm going to take the bottom, for example, this over here, the y, and I'm going to raise the y to the power of 3 as well. Okay, and if I simplify that, what do I get? I'm going to get something that looks like this. Remember our rule, we said x to the power of n. If I raise that to m, I'm going to say that's x to the n multiplied by m. And so what does that look like? That says the numerator is going to be x to the power of 2 times 3, which is equal to x to the power of 6, okay, divided by y to the power of 3. Okay,